Alright, hello. It's Halloween, the day for getting spooked, and for some reason eating so much chocolate, your guts explode. However, if you're me, it's tradition for your guts to explode with laughter as you watch a Treehouse of Horror episode of The Simpsons. Let's take you back to 1990, before most of you were even born. The Simpsons was just about to explode into popularity, whereas now it's just a zombie waiting for the end. This is the Treehouse of Horror. The episode starts off with a warning from Marge that it might scare younger viewers, which seems comical now when you consider the later Treehouse of Horror episodes, where you see multiple murders, beheadings, violence all over the place. This one is very tame in comparison. Nobody even dies in any of these segments. Quite appropriately, this episode takes place in the treehouse, where Bart and Lisa are telling each other scary stories. In the older Treehouse of Horrors, they would try and set up a premise for telling stories, whereas now they just cut into the segment straight away. I do quite like this idea of having a bit of backstory. The first segment is Bad Dream House, a parody of the Amityville Horror. The Simpsons move into a new home at a very great price.
Get out.
What on earth was that?
Probably just a house settling.
Very, very great in fact. But there is a reason. The house is evil and wants them all to die. So you can see why it was very cheap.
We're not talking about a few dollars. We're talking about a few $1,000. It's got great high ceilings.
Oh, and it's built on an ancient Native American burial ground.
You didn't tell me it was built on an Indian burial ground. No, you didn't. Well, that's not my recollection. He says he mentioned it 5 or 6 times.
But looking at the positives, it does have a portal to an alternate dimension in the kitchen. They choose to sleep on the decision whether or not to stay in the house. But they soon regret this, as they all become entranced and attempt to murder one another.
They are all against me. They all must die.
I love the bait and switch we get with Marge, who it turns out is only making a sandwich. Meanwhile, everyone else is busy trying to murder each other. They try to make a deal with the house, to all live in peace and harmony together. However, the house chooses to implode, rather than spend its life with the Simpsons.
It chose to destroy itself rather than live with us. You can't help but feel a little rejected.
Now we come to my personal favourite of the three. The hungry are the damned. The Simpsons are having a barbecue in their backyard, which has one of the stupidest, yet weirdly funniest jokes in any Treehouse of Horror episode.
That should just about do it. Man alive, there's nothing better than a hamburger grilled to perfection.
However, their good times are interrupted by a spaceship. This is the introduction to Kang and Kodos, who would become staples of Treehouse of Horror episodes in the future, appearing at least once in almost all of them. They also have a third crew member in this episode, Serac the Preparer, voiced by guest James Earl Jones, who's most famous as the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars. His voice is like sugar for the ears.
When we arrive, there will be plenty of time to chew the fat.
They treat the Simpsons to feast after feast, which is suspicious to Lisa, who sneaks into the kitchen and takes her cookbook, which is entitled How to Cook Humans. However, the book is super dusty, and it's slowly revealed to be a harmless How to Cook for 40 Humans book, which would be enough for one Homer. This causes offense to the Rigelians, who drop them back off on Earth.
There were monsters on that ship, And truly we were them.
What I love about the Treehouse of Horror episodes are the experimental segments. They always try something a bit different and unique. And this final segment is entitled The Raven, a poem from Edgar Allan Poe. And the segment is narrated by, guess, James Earl Jones. Yet she appears in all 3 of the segments for this Treehouse of Horror episode. They really got their money's worth.
Ah, distinctly I remember. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor.
Homer is awoken by a knock at his chamber door, but nobody is there. However, the knocking keeps coming, this time louder and louder, as Homer opens the window. A raven that resembles Bart flies in.
Quoth the raven.
Eat my shorts. Bart, stop it. He says nevermore, and that's all he'll ever say. Okay.
It should be noted that this segment is being read by Lisa in the treehouse, so Bart will occasionally interrupt and say how boring it is. Just like people in the comments for this video will tell me how boring this video is. The raven will only say nevermore. Words that will drive Homer gradually insane.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
Why, you little...
As he chases the raven around the room. Left there on his chamber floor, the raven quotes one last time, nevermore. I have grown to appreciate this segment a lot more the older I get. I was much more like Bart when I was younger, thinking it was boring because it was poetry. But you can't deny this segment is very memorable, maybe even the most memorable out of the 3 from this episode.
Nevermore.
Overall, this is a solid Treehouse of Horror. It's not my favourite. It's more comedic than it is scary, with only really the first segment having any real scary moments. I'd rate Bad Dream House a 6 out of 10, Hungry Are the Damned 8 out of 10, and The Raven a 6 out of 10, with an overall score of 20 out of 30. I really enjoyed watching this back, as it brought back great memories. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. Which was your favourite segment? Does it hold up compared to other Treehouse of Horrors? Try to not have nightmares tonight, and have a horrifying Halloween!
Oh, I hate Halloween.
Thank you all for watching. Now take care, and leave me alone!